Hello, this is Richa. Welcome to the second episode of our journey to the world of Proverbs. Tibet, located on the southwest of China and bordering India, Nepal, Myanmar, and Bhutan, is also known as the roof of the world. It is the land of beautiful hilltops, mountain passes, rivers, yak, zhou, and horses, beautiful handicrafts, Thangka paintings, Buddhist monasteries, and a deep sense of spirituality. It is also the land of the famous epic, the Epic of King Gezer, considered as the longest literary work in the world, containing over 20 million words and believed to have been about 1,000 years old. The narrative is of a fearless King Gezer of the legendary kingdom of Ling, who was believed to have been sent down from heaven to conquer the negative spirits and demons. The author Lama Jab, in an edited volume entitled Tibetan Literary Genre, Texts and Text Types, says that the entire Gezer epic is proverbial in its use of diction, as it draws upon the Tibetan proverbs to a large extent. Sample this proverb from the epic, which reflects the wisdom of the Tibetans. If seeds are not sown in spring, no corn will be harvested in autumn. If cows are not fed in winter, there will be no milk in the spring. If fine horses are not well bred, they will not gallop into the face of your enemies. Tibetan proverbs, preserved mostly in oral tradition, reflect deep influences of both Bonism, that is, the indigenous belief system, and Buddhism, which was introduced into Tibet from the Buddhist tradition of North India. The intense spirituality of the Tibetans is reflected in these beautiful gems I gathered from Lamo Pemba's book entitled Tibetan Proverbs. The outside wall of stone can be demolished, but not the inner wall of dharma. The focus on synthesis is clear from this proverb. For the hermit meditating in the deep valley and the patron dwelling on the lower plane, if enlightenment is to be reaped, it will be by the two together. As Lama Jab points out, Tibetan literature also reflects a critical intellectual tradition that has existed in Tibet since centuries. The proverbs too are clearly influenced by this critical tradition, especially in their jibes at the Lama or teacher of Dharma. The term Lama is also used for venerated spiritual masters or heads of monasteries. While most Tibetans have a deep respect for the Lamas, they are at the same time critical of the pseudo-Lamas, that is, the ones who only pretended to be spiritual but were not really so. Sample this proverb. It's the Lama who advises not to eat meat, yet the fattiest meat is eaten by the Lama. Or this proverb. The thief loves a yak, the Lama loves a corpse. The first proverb hints at the hypocrisy of certain Lamas who abuse their power for personal gain. The second one ridicules those Lamas and monks who acquire wealth by carrying out prayers and rituals for the dead. It's not just the pseudo among the Lamas that are ridiculed, but the greedy among the devotees are also not spared. For example, the proverb, some meditate upon the Lama, some upon the Torma. The Torma is a component of an offering made of barley flour and butter. This proverb is a powerful comment on the greed of some of the devotees. The proverbs also cast a light on the socio-political structures of Tibet as they seek to redefine the concept of power. A man needs power, but power needs limitation. Historically, the monasteries in Tibet had the right to levy various kinds of taxes on the estates under their authority. These taxes included meat tax, wool tax, butter tax, and so on, used for the upkeep of religious functions. The butter accumulated out of the butter tax was used for lighting butter oil lamps and for making Tibetan tea for the monks in the monastery. There is a proverb that casts doubt on such taxes. When man has no butter for himself, from where will he get an offering of butter lamps for the gods? The Tibetans' daily lives and activities such as traveling, ceremonies, matrimonials, conducting business and so on are focused on the auspiciousness of days. It is believed that in the Tibetan month, there are certain days or dates that are sacred as merit gets multiplied in these days. In Lamo Pemba's book, I found this proverb: a heart that nurses unkind thoughts should not think of auspicious dates for religious practice. To ward off evil spirits, the Tibetans wore amulets containing sacred relics. It is believed that the amulet would protect a warrior from all hindrances, but not the coward, as the proverb goes. A coward, though adorned with every amulet, is the first to fall when the enemy appears. The proverbs also reflect the trading activities of many a nomadic Tibetan communities using horses, yak, or the zhou as transportation animals. Sample this proverb: the zhou must lift his back more. The mountain pass must stoop lower. Or the proverb: when a man wants to do something, he can. When a yak wants to carry salt, he can. Salt seems to be an important commodity of trade. It was bought by traders and nomads from places like Changtang to be sold to other places. Some traders even brought the salt to India. India has always been an important region to trade with for the Tibetans, as goes this proverb. For an inexperienced man to travel to India, a saddle with 18 reins is required. From China, Tibet imported vermilion, which was used as red ink for writing and for rituals. Here goes one proverb: when one possesses vermilion, what need is there to beg from others for red ochre? The issue of sovereignty of Tibet has been a contentious one, especially since the mid-20th century. Many Tibetans consider China's 1950 Act as an invasion of a sovereign country, while the Chinese believe that Tibet has been a rightful part of China for centuries. This struggle of Tibet for its cultural and political sovereignty is reflected in these proverbs. It's better to be the chieftain of a confluence of 3 rivers than to be the temple attendant of a Chinese temple. To describe a person who is opportunistic, the following words are used. When the Chinese are in power, he is Chinese. When the Tibetans are in power, he is Tibetan. Interestingly, I found Tibetan proverbs that refer to similar subjects but are used to provide slightly different meanings. For example, Proverb 1, to call a dog a lion. Proverb 2, though the lion is more famous, the dog is more useful. Both of these proverbs refer to the snow lion, a celestial creature of white fur and a turquoise mane, symbolizing fearlessness and cheerfulness, and the tiny Lhasa Apso dog, which resembles a miniature snow lion. The first proverb refers to a superficial comparison, while the second proverb reflects on the idea that it is the ordinary people with their everydayness that actually make a real difference in our lives, not the celebrities. So friends, I hope you enjoyed this episode on Tibetan proverbs. Keep coming back for more as I discuss every week proverbs from different parts of the world on Gulp Lok. As the Tibetans say, rich meadows invite deer and clear rivers invite cranes. Thank you.